Let's start the stream. Let's let it begin. Is it possible? Is it possible? Hmm. I guess it's like an either or. Either or. Oh my. Hmm. Which one do you want to go with? Oh, I guess it's hello to you. We've got you sorted, at least. Okay. How did? Okay. Let's see. Well, are you gonna do it or what? I I thought I had it just for a second there. Oh, maybe. See what it does. Can you make it happen for me? Can you do it? Aha! It does do it. Okay. Ah! Nice. 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 Perfect. Okay. Then I add. Yeah! That's what I was trying to do. Okay. Now all I have to do is source. So I should be able to go do this um, live with you all. So let me add so that we all can see the same thing. Um, all right. Oh, yes. Yes. I don't need that. All I need is move this here. Okay. And I can, ooh, I can even expand it. All right. Kind of make it nice and colorful and wild. Oh, that's so good. All right. So let me check on you guys. Is everything happening? Okay. What's going on? Are we? Yes, we are live on Tiki Tiki Taki. Okay, good, good. Let me turn off the audio. I'll be a little louder in a little bit. Here, I can move my phone up. Um, okay, what's clicking? I just heard something bing. All right. I'll just try to speak up loud. This is a test run, guys. I need to see to go live simultaneous. Oh, it looks looks like it's going down. Uh, um, uh, 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 okay, hold on. What we call this one? We called it gosh, awakening the mind. We'll just call it awakening the mind. Uh, chapter 14. And are we good, yo? Are we good? Boom. So we live everywhere where we want to be. So that's how you do it. Nice and clean. Okay, guys. So, in fact, I can read it from here. Hey, stop it. Hater energy. I've been calling it a hater energy, guys. Okay. So, let me see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can read it just. In fact, I can read it just fine, I think, from. Good. We made it. So Okay. Update. So I know how to do studio live for TikTok and studio live for YouTube. So nobody has to do any crossover to like see me. That means you don't have to like YouTube. I was gonna put you under the train. I was like, look, you'll just have to kind of trust me. I kind of want to go like live and have my video on with myself on there, and but you would just have to listen. But now actually you can see everything that we see on TikTok. So yeah, you have your version, they have their version, so everybody is good, I think. So yeah, that is so cool. Um, mm-hmm. So you get to participate in your own way. So I'm doing a test, and I said I'll make this experience a productive one. So I said what I'll do is, yeah, I'll go live on and everything and make sure that it's achievable. Obviously, I'm here, and I will bring you. It's a short chapter, by the way, so it's chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. Um, we'll go through it very quickly, and it'll be enjoyable. Actually, I will need to go to the actual, which is fine. I mean, it's cool. You still see what I see. So yeah. Mm-hmm. You still see what I see. All right. So chapter 14. Well, let's see what it's about. It's about the Bhagavad Gita. It's about. Okay, so I was looking into this, and it appears that. Okay, so there's a chapter where Kali is described. I'll go ahead and start telling you. I was, I've been hinting towards every time it comes up. I've been saying, okay, just wait till I get to the chapter, because he explains that actually, well, it's gonna be interesting if it's that chapter. I saw signs. It's either this chapter or probably the next, but it's very fascinating, the concepts. And of course, you know how we like to do. We like to pick out how they seem to like marry the Old Testament. So, of course, Old Testament. What do you mean by that? I mean Old Testament as in the Bible. Is just very fascinating. You could tell that there is a deep connection. So we're in chapter 14, and we've not find any discrepancy. Like there's a lot of similarities, but there's always something that is, that's uniquely different. But these scriptures just seem to roll right into biblical scriptures. And I'm not even saying because it's acting extra spiritual and all paths lead to Rome. Nothing like that. It's just flat out flows right in, and there's just no denying that. And so we're having a great time. This is my probably my fourth time reading the Bhagavad Gita. I always read it from the start to the finish, and every time that I read it, it just gets better to me, better and better. Usually, if I watch a show once, I've watched it like it's done, or if I read a book, it's done. I don't need to read it again. So this is special for. Well, I guess I do this. I do the Bible like that as well, because I read. Yeah. Okay. Well, it seems like to me the scriptures I can read over and over again. Other things I read it, it's good. I might go back and grab notes and things as needed. So yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah, so this is like a test to see. Yes, I am definitely live on both YouTube and my TikTok. Hi YouTube, I know you're growing. Thank you for everything that you're doing, helping with your time, helping the channel grow, and of course we can now I'd be over there and I'd be thinking about what about TikTok? And I used to do the live separate. So that's at least 6 hours, 3 hours for each. So now I can, you know, half the time because I'm sharing with you, like you get to hear the first version of the story, YouTube, because I would always come to TikTok first. And then by the time I get to YouTube, I at least can knock off an hour. So, but I would do it. But so now I've discovered how, like, we all can share. And yesterday would not have worked very well because, yeah, YouTube, you would have missed out on the visual. And I said, yeah, you're just going to have to just trust me on this. What I'm saying is what I'm really seeing. So now that's not the case. We figured it out. Something just said I was gonna go live in the evening. I said something said no, don't do it. Figure that out because it's there. You just got to look for it. So Spirit was right. I'm glad. I'm glad that happened. Hold on. Research because it contains. Uh, wait. Oh, there. Okay, it says your live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted in search results because it contains unoriginal and reproduced content. This is in the line with the for you feed eligibility standards. That's not true. So I'm going to appeal that. I've appealed it every time. They hate it when I come in here colorful. They hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Because it's always mine. It says this notice is unclear and okay, I'm not sure. I got okay. My live does not contain the content mentioned in the notice. Okay, okay. TikTok should allow my content like mine. I understand this decision, but the restriction is too strict. TikTok should allow mine. Any other ones that I can click, or they're like, oh, you only choose one. Um, does not contain the content mentioned in the notice. The notice is, I guess, should allow content like mine. Let's go with that one. Yeah, TikTok, you got that wrong again. Guess again. Because one time I created an entire thumbnail. I created it and I included imagery that I developed myself, and they sent me that. And I was like, there's no one who's doing that. This is what are you saying? You don't want educational material. This is educational material, and and I'm actually going to comment. I'm sharing. Literally, I'm sharing. I'm explaining how I am able to go live on two different angles. What are you talking about? We're having an educational conversation. I'm not showing my chest. Like there's people over there whacking off the winky, and then like putting overlays over it. Come on, like back up, TikTok, AI, period. So,
Did they get that? You think they got that feed? Did they get? You think they caught that? I'm still blonde. I still have the most fun. The fun the most. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita, 14:1. Okay, so it says the divine Lord said, "I shall once again explain to you the supreme wisdom." So he's this is where okay. So who is the supreme Lord? That is the Krishna element. So that's Krishna speaking to Arjun, right? And Arjun is just amazing because he's like he's kind of like would be the story of uh like an apostle Paul. You know, he could be hmm, who would he be? He would maybe be a Joshua, you know, but he is in other words, so he's a devotee, yes. And so there's the entire Bhagavad Gita is so fascinating because it's actually speaking in regards to like God speaking to Moses, for example. So in this case, the entire Bhagavad Gita is like it's like a scene, like a conversation, and that's the entire book, basically. So as you're reading it, you're hearing and you're witnessing the conflict in Arjun and what he must do. And of course, we have lives over that, and that's a lot of that would be like chapter 1 and 2. So I won't go back and fill you in. We'll start over, and of course, when we read it in a different way because we're looking for new things we hadn't discovered. So anyway, the divine Lord, he says, "I shall once again explain to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge." So by knowing which all the great saints attain the highest perfection. What's so interesting about this is that this is definitely about knowledge, and it's about being the best. It's about knowing which it all in which directions. Um, that the saints are at the highest perfections, and also expanding and also growing. So what we find about the Bhagavad Gita, it's really about science. It loves to identify science type things. And so what we would illustrate is that with this the Bhagavad Gita, it's since it's all about knowledge, it's all about higher intellect. So that's what I got from it when I read it. I think that we enjoy the idea of how like the creative elements to the Bhagavad Gita, how interesting that it is when it comes to maybe like brainstorming or creating pictures in our minds of what it may look like, what it may or may not look like in terms of, I would say more like in our creative pursuits. But then we tend to shy away from the idea that we do go as far as when it comes to intellect. Well, the philosophical elements seem to be fine. So maybe the philosophical elements are nice in a way. So we consider these parts. So um, the philosophical parts represent the greater sides of healing, because it also extends to the science part, which connects you to anything. Okay, so there's 2 points I want to make. So Aristotle believed that there is a science to people perfecting within themselves, which so this is where all the psychologies, the branches of psychology comes from. So in this case, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's like things like self care, like specifically what we refer to as yoga, or like our physical discipline is also considered a science in the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, then there's the different philosophy, like the building blocks that actually expand on the idea that you're finding both creativity, but you're also finding intellect, and you're able to put things together in the mind. So they're able to come together. So that's what's that is what is fascinating with in regards, into this direction. So for the verse 2 says, those who take refuge in the wisdom will be united with me. So this wisdom, so knowledge and wisdom, just like as it compares to like the Bible, they interlock, they're interwoven. Now there is such thing as called the gift of knowledge, and also I've even read where there is the gifting of wisdom. Um, you can have okay, so in metaphysics, it says you can acquire much knowledge but not necessarily have the wisdom. Like there's a lot of people who have the knowledge, they just they don't have the ability to place that knowledge where it would fit or where it needs to be. So it says those who take the refuge in the wisdom uh, will be united with me. They will not be reborn at the time of creation. It says, nor destroyed at the time of disillusion. So these 2 points are interesting. So creation and disillusion. Disillusion is also associated with uh, astrologically Pisces. So that means that if a person is, let's say, in their delusion, they are maybe they're not self realized yet or self actualized, but they're working on that. That means that we would have like perfect information, a perfect knowledge on things. So that's what that would mean. In the time of creation, of course, that is definitely, it can be representing creativity. It can mean coming into fruition, but also now a lot of people, for a little bit of additional information, sometimes will think, well, if you consider some things as, let's say, you are in this place where you're confused about like how to proceed forward in spiritual way, and then a lot of people will say, how come that you're in this place and in your mind's eye and you just able to sort of be come back again and then do it right, or like why would you choose to walk a certain any spiritual path in which you actually don't benefit, or people will use that as, well, this is why their life is gray, why their life is not very good, because they keep, they had to learn this great lesson. But then you have the secular world saying, no, you didn't deserve that. Then it's like this confusion. It's like, well, how am I to grow if I don't explore these territories, forbidden territories? Well, that's why it says they will not be reborn at the time of creation, nor destroyed at the time of dissolution. That's because it's really not meant for us to have to go through these sort of what they call it, these rebirths, or these karmic cycles, or reincarnations is the word that people use. But sometimes people speak to the aim that reincarnation is something that is necessary, needed, and desired. Um, but in actuality, that is not the case. We're reading that that is not the case. It always stresses to get out of having to reincarnate by becoming fully aware of the greater understandings of the universe. So then it says the total material substance, um, prakriti. So the total material of substance of prakriti is in the womb. I impregnate it with the individual souls, and it says And yeah, this is actually some a portion that I wanted to reflect on. So this is him explaining the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine masculine representing the father, and then divine mother representing the mother. And the father, the mother elements basically suggesting that, so you have in your mind's eye the idea concept of, okay, so the big conversation is, what's the difference between gender wise, is God male, is God female? Of course, if you've heard me speak about the Old Testament, we find that there is a mother aspect to the father aspect, and then also it states in the Old Testament that being the father and the mother. And of course, that mother side is spelled Eloah, Eloah. Um, and then there's Elohim, and there's distinctions between the two. But they also speak in terms of like husband and wife. So oftentimes, if you were to rent a table, you would say, this is for, the table's for Mr. Reed. But Mrs. Reed is there, and also Little Reed Jr. and everybody else is there. You get it? So, of course, it talks about the marriages, particularly of this nature, um, the divine father, divine mother in throughout the New Testament. And so this case more or less will explain, okay, how does the Bhagavad Gita express his divine feminine, being that, okay, what are his pronouns? So, like, are you telling God what his pronouns are? It's like, well, this particular God, which is very, very much corresponding to the God, I would say, that is the God that is in the Old Testament. Yes. So it says that the total material substance, prakriti, is the womb. It says, I impregnated with the individual souls, and thus all living beings are born. Then it says, O son of Kanti, for all species of life that are produced, the material nature is the womb. And it says, I am the seed giver father. So this is interesting. It says, for all the species of life that are produced, the material nature is the womb. And it says, and I am the seed giving father. So he's expressing, and not only expressing, but teaches about the divine masculine. So he's referring that he is the seed, the seed giving father. That that is how he describes himself. But he refers to, explains, okay, how is he a part of the creator? Because the creation, if we say, well, shouldn't the creation happen in the womb? But he's identifying his role in creation, which is very fascinating. Here it is, just, and I hear this a lot. We don't want to exclude the, so from like the womb, yes, but the father, the male, being seed giving father. Of course, father is capitalized, and that is referring to um, God. All right. So then he goes on to express. He says, "O mighty armed Arjun." It says the material energy consists of three gunas. It says the modes, the sattva, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then it says these modes bind the eternal soul to the perishable body. Okay, so it's human experiences. I always talk about the passions, and of course, people bring up the ignorance. They like, I've made so many errors and mistakes, but I'm like, look, it's interesting that it used to be called Thomas, but it's so close to traumas. So that's where that would be. And then the sattva, which is the goodness side of things. Like there's a passion, the wonders of life, and also the things that the experiences that we have, the ministries we take on. So I like the idea that it expresses how the soul part is you say binded or stitched in with the body to so they're allowed to have these experiences that are needed, for higher advancement in the spirit world, but also in the earth realm too, in this realm. So I love that part. It says, amongst these sattva guna, it says the mode of goodness. So you have the mode of goodness being purer than the others, illuminating, full of well-being, the fullness of the well-being of things, the illumination. It says, "O sinless one," it says it binds the soul by creating attachment for a sense of happiness and knowledge. So this is so fascinating because it's referring to the experiences, more or less. Now, the experiences that you're meant to have, we in metaphysics we refer to as downloads. So we become downloaded with the information that we're experiencing. That's what we believe the soul is for. It's kind of like a disc. It's like recording everything. And it says, "O sinless one," it says it binds the soul by creating attachment. So now attachment happens because it's part of the human experience, but even we are able to get out of these attachments, by the way. But it says for a sense of happiness and knowledge, meaning the download experience. Um, it says pure than the others is illuminating and the full of well-being. That's the mode of goodness. So amongst these, so the sense of wellness, this is where um, like the sense of wellness, the way it's explained earlier, is that when these attachments happen, we are in them for the sense of duty, but we don't hang on to them, so they don't become attachments necessarily. They become something that we release. So it also has a lot to do with release, um, which is a matter of healing. Arjun, it says, uh, Rejo Guna is a nature of passion. Okay. Okay, so what is the nature of passion? Um, it arises from worldly desires and affections. It says, and binds the soul through attachment to fruitative actions. So the fruitative actions, the way it's explained, attachments in these fruitative actions, you're not supposed to, even if they're good actions, they're not supposed to become attachments. They're supposed to be more or less a sense of duty because you need to do it. Well, okay, so okay, so like Ukraine soldiers, are they're against the odds, and like Arjun, they remind me of like Arjun, who is also a warrior who has to go to war with his own brothers and uh, brother-in-laws and cousins and friends of the fathers. All these men that's that he's known that he knows personally because they're his family, including like the kinds of friends you invite to the wedding, all of that, well wishers, and so he's have to go to war with them. So like Ukraine, reminds like Zagzinski, reminds me of a little bit of like Argent or a soldier, and so who says this is something out of duty, social responsibility that you have to do, and then do this and conquer and take on victory is pretty much what the Bhagavad Gita represents. So those are like fruitive actions. Even when one says, "But I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to conquer my brother," and like it's perfect alignment because they don't want the land. I mean, Ukraine doesn't want the land. They don't want their culture. They don't want their language. They like, no, just give us our land and just get out of our stuff. So that's why what Arjun is like. Like I don't want we don't we I don't want the big riches and the kingdoms and the castles and and the the fanfare. I don't want any of that. And it's like, but so it's like, is it's not if it's if I don't if I'm not motivated in that way, what like it's like he's asking God, like, what encouragement can you offer besides asking, hey, what am I doing? Is it would you refer to it as sin? So it's like Arjun and God has this conversation about sin even. So which is very fascinating considering Bhagavad Gita, and as you would say, here we might even say versus um, the Bible. It going to the idea that committing what they call murder is a sin, or killing someone, and especially like your own family members, or brothers whom you're in conflict with. So then it says 14:8. It says Arjun uh, Tomoguna. It says, which is born of ignorance. Okay. It says is the cause of illusion. Right. So a lot of times, so when clients actually engage with me, I have to always kind of like be in this place where I'm encouraging people to come out of their minds, because sometimes it's the environment that is shaping our mind, it's people around us. So sometimes, people are caught in a kind of like a loop. And and also it could be past things too. It could be marriages of all kinds, circumstances, relationships of all kinds. And also it's not just extended to like your partner. It could be extended to all of the types of relationships, even as a parent. All relationships. So there's like the cause of illusions, and then people coming out of it, and coming out of a cycle, or experiencing more options than they've ever thought possible in their journey. It says, okay, so born of ignorance is the cause of illusion for the embodied souls. So yeah, we that this is associated with the age of Pisces. So that's we're needing this age of Aquarius, because we're really trying to expound on what we know, our knowledge, our information. So we're perfecting our information, but before we can say like what's what, we have to be, or like tap into perfect information, we have to know what information is out there. So we're so busy learning these things, and it's gonna be nice. So it says it deludes all living beings through negligence, laziness, and sleep. So yeah, it says it deludes. So delusion comes in all living beings through negligence. So in other words, just maybe neglecting things, like putting it to the side. Laziness, just don't want to do it. It's easier to take the low road than the high road. And then sleep, just say, hey, maybe it's not affecting me, the closing of the eyes. So that's also very fascinating. Sattva binds one to material happiness. So Sattva binds one to material happiness. Okay, material happiness. Raja conditions the soul towards actions. So, um, so here we go. So if there's material riches and such, and then the conditions and the soul towards actions, I guess that's going to represent. I would like to highlight what happens if the environment, like, okay, it's how we react to our environment, for example. So what if we look at that? Then it says, and the trauma side, which clouds wisdom, okay, and then binds one to the delusion. That means you're creating the binding part. That's an attachment. And but it also traces, if you notice, it mentions material happiness. It does mention the soul towards actions. It does mention those things. And 10 says, sometimes goodness prevails over passions. Okay. And ignorance. Okay. And in old sign of Bharat, that means he's speaking to Arjun. He says, sometimes passion dominates goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance overcomes goodness and passion. So all three sides can happen, but you have to relinquish all three sides. I bet it's going to talk about that. But in order to do that, you have to have the knowledge of what's going on. And that means the intellect. Let's hear what it says on the next one. That's my prediction. I'm already predicting what it's going to say. It says, when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge, know it to be a manifestation of the mode of goodness. Okay, so when all the gates of the body are open through the knowledge, and that means your chakras, by the way. The gates are their other chakras. It says no. It's a manifest because it's about manifestation, which is the modes of of things that are beneficial. Goodness, I replace good with beneficial, because good can represent so many things. When the mode of passion predominates, Arjun, the symptoms of greed, exertion of worldly gain, restlessness, and craving develop. Okay. O Arjun, uh, it says, nescience, inertia, negligence, and delusion, these are the dominant signs of the mode of ignorance. So these are our sides. I would say the shades. These are the shades. And so it's saying those who die with predominance of sattva reach the pure abodes, which are um, free from the that would be the trauma stuff, and then the disillusionment. So those who died with the predominance, okay, and that means they've learned. So it's about learning knowledge. There it is. It's about having information. You have to learn, um, but it doesn't always mean you have to experience like you were deserving of hardships. It doesn't exactly mean that. If you catch my tone, it doesn't exactly mean that you were deserving of hardships. You did catch the subjectiveness of the statement. Those who die with prevalence of the mode of passion are born among people driven by work, while those dying in the mode of ignorance take birth in the animal kingdom. So that's so fascinating. Okay. So, 14, 16. It says, it is said the fruit of actions performed in the mode of goodness bestow pure results. Okay. So, the fruit of the action performed in the mode of goodness, pure results. Actions done in the mode of passion result in pain. Oh boy. While those performed in the mode of ignorance result in darkness. And ignorance, that's another biblical quote. There's light in the darkness, but the darkness understands it not. And meaning darkness is ignorance. So it doesn't understand the intelligence, the intellect, the spirit, which is light or good, or the good things represented by intelligence. See, that's why I like to talk about these things, because the correlation, I like to pick them out and say, look, there it goes again, that biblical reference. It says, from the mode of goodness arises knowledge. Okay, so intellect. So there we go. It's talking about intellect. And so many times throughout the Bible, I know people don't cover this much, but it talks even entering, or I know I keep mentioning this, but Israel with the other nations entering into Canaan, they were commanded by God to enter in the Canaan with intellect, not with brute force or war. Um, so like how to match that so it makes sense in today's world. Well, if you are, let's say, you are, let's say Russian, right? What and let's say that Ukraine is Canaan. God would have commanded if you follow the commandments exactly and it played out, Russia would be advised to just go and sit and intellectually go in a diplomatic way, in a wholesome way, sit down and talk with Zelensky. That's what they did. And also, I'm not just saying that. It says that biblically, in the original biblical, by the way, you won't even find the battle per se, even in your book, which is add stuff added in. So you won't even find that language because that's not the way it was illustrated. Also, what's fascinating is that um, when it comes to like the whole, so they enter in there and so they left behind a city, right? So today, what do you call it? The geneticists, the historians, the archaeologists went and did a lot of research, a lot of uncovering, and DNA. At least the DNA. They make a joke, but or they say something lightly about DNA not showing that there ever was a war, but in fact more like a thriving city. And when they found people who were there, they were farmers, and these people who they found were also today's Palestinian, traced all the way back to Canaan. So that is very fascinating, right there. Fascinating piece of education. So from the mode of goodness arises knowledge. From the mode of passion arises greed. And from the mode of ignorance arises negligence and delusion. It says 14:18 says, those situated in the mode of goodness rise upward, and those in the mode of passion stay in the middle, and those in the mode of ignorance go downward. So let's let's put that map together again. This is like navigating metaphysics. Those situated in the mode of goodness rise upward. Those in the mode of passion stay in the middle, circle and circle. You know what? A lot that applies to that is like people in relationships. And those in the mode of ignorance go downward. And that's when it's toxic. And what how I deal with those when those are in readings, I just simply give them information. I'm like, look, you can use this as you wish. Here you go. So you use this, and maybe, just maybe, it'll work out for you. Like when things, if things doesn't work out, if it does, like sometimes I'll even give them this. I even pray that it works out for you and that everything, despite what's said here, you still end up getting something what you maybe what you want but in a healthy way. Only the healthy good stuff though. If it's healthy for you, if it's good for you, I lend you my prayers. However, if let's say it doesn't and the reading proves correct, you now have tools you can use to continue your journey, your life journey, and keep on moving. So I love like wrapping up, very like there's difficult readings and then there's just outright toxic readings. So when it's toxic, that's how I deal with when it's like, oh boy, are you ready for this? Because it's a lot. So that's the way that I will engage it. The 19th one says, when wise persons see that in all work there is no agent of action other than the three keys, it says, and they know me to be transcendental. So I deal with, we study in metaphysics called transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation actually comes from the Bhagavad Gita. I don't hear anyone saying that's where it comes from. That's why I love reading the Bhagavad Gita, because we use terms today and this is where it comes from, literally. transcendental is right here, the gunas representing the transcendental meditation. So it says, when wise persons see that in all work there is no agent of action other than the three, then it says, and they know me to be transcendental, to transcend. Of course, we have, of course, symbols that represent, like the World Tarot card, for example. Um, let's see, hold on. So the World Tarot card is referenced as transcendental in nature, transcendental meditation, and they attain my divine nature. And to have transcendental and to attain the divine nature, we already know what it's going to say. You have to have no attachment and purely be devotional to your higher form, which is your higher self. Transcendental meditation is a practice today we use in metaphysics, or in my case, metaphysical sciences. And then here are the, like the degrees and certificates and things. So we like in, like to say, in a psychic reading, we elevate into transcending into these higher forms and realms of thought. So that's transcendental, or the higher self. That higher self is connection to that divine spark that makes you you, with all of the lessons achieved over time, the things you've learned, your experiences. So that's what this is referring to. It says, by transcending, see, not just two of the three, but all three. One of the three is actually good, is a good thing. But it says, by transcending the three modes of material nature associated with the physical body, one becomes free from birth, death, old age, and misery, and attains immortality. So that's very clear that it's, again, having read the Bhagavad Gita, even attachments, but all attachments, not just the bad attachments, but also the good attachments, to do it out of social responsibility. That is your task, to becoming in unity with self and the higher principle of yourself. So it says, so Arjun then asks, he inquires, what are the characteristics of those who have gone beyond the three, O Lord? And it says, how do they act? So it says, tell me more about when you transcend. Well, okay, so I have clients who are transcend, but still on the earth. So not transition, but transcended. And what I find is they become more intuitive. They have a sense of direction of self. They understand their life purpose. They know who they are. Even in the midst of like genders, like the opposite gender, you know. So yeah, they know exactly who they are in their personal identity, and they're able to like each time, like let's say they work at something or they do a work, that becomes a process in which there's an expansion in their universe. It introduces them to new souls, new people. It enhances their life in every way. So it says, what are the characteristics of those who have gone beyond the three gunas, O Lord? How do they act? Yeah, they act from their higher self. And even you can hear or feel vibrationally that they're on a higher attunement. How do they go? How do they go beyond the bondage of the gunas? Okay, the attachments. How do they get? How do they get out of that? Um, so, of course, the Bible talks about being in bondage all the time. Christians do. So here they're using bondage as well. Not all good deed is actually beneficial. you know how they think of good works, not being very good at all. It's all about that unity. So very much in step with the directions of everything. So it says the supreme divine personality said, "O Arjun, the persons who are transcendental to the three perspectives, the goodness, the passions, and the disillusioned. Neither hate illumination, okay, which is born out of goodness, okay, nor activity, so nor attachment, which is born of of not ignorance, or is it? No. Passion, excuse me, passion, nor even delusion, which is the traumas, when these are abundantly present, nor do they long for them when they are absent. Okay, so that means no attachment. In other words, it says the absence of these three. They remain neutral out of responsibility, okay, to the modes of nature and are not disturbed by them. So whether it's good things, okay, bad things, okay, it's not disturbing you. Okay, so I this year I discovered that twin flames have this power. Like when okay, so relationships get become affected by everybody, right? Everybody's reaching for them constantly. Well, twin flames, they seem to go unaffected. Like they don't receive other people's energy. Um, people don't stifle them. They end up getting the right business partners, to make their money. They get into the right business deals to get the house, and it's always whatever they're experiencing is always about pushing them ever closer together, and they resist that without they don't even have to work to really resist the idea of even trying to like state it like or I guess come apart and because well this happened and that happened life happened and my parents this or that. It's more like everything seems to push them even closer together. So it's like I like to think of it like it's almost like they're a mirage to other people. Like people, if they were to throw energy, the energy is like throwing energy out of mirage. That they're just not on this frequency. Energetically, the relationship can't be found, more or less. So that is so interesting, so fascinating in itself. So it says no activity, which is born. Okay, that's the delusional side, and it's absent. Oh yeah. Okay, so they remain neutral to the modes of nature and are not disturbed by them, knowing it is only the act in itself that act. Okay, yeah, they yes, clearly energetically all the others it's still the world this world still exists, but and they are aware of it, but they are not connected to it. In Christian language, it means dead to it. They're off its radar. Um, which is possible, is a possible thing. They stay established. They know who they are. That's what I'm saying. When they transcend people, they know who they are, their true self, without wavering, steadfast. That is so beautiful. Okay, three more. Three more. I told you this was a short chapter. It says, those who are alike in happiness and distress, who are established in the self, who look upon a clod, a stone, and a piece of gold as of equal value. Okay. Yeah. So it's like happiness or distress, regardless of what they're looking at, they see the value in everything. Okay. Who remain the same amidst the pleasant and the unpleasant events, who are intelligent, who accept both the blame and the praise with with um, equanimity, who remain the same in honor and dishonor, who treat both friend and foe alike, and who best respect the persons, who have abandoned all enterprises they are said to have risen above the three, all three of them. So, yes, like my clients, though that like they're with their twin flames, everything that they are working towards is come to pass. At the same time, they're able to um, they're able to connect with everything. They're able to like be a part of this world. They're able to still go to work and still compete in the arena and actually truly compete. Meaning, yeah, there's a chance. And this time they have to work harder. It may not be as successful as they had hoped, but then good things happen, better things, even greater things, and it's like, yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried, like this never happens to me, like I get to go on this trip, with this special person, and they become like, yeah, I'm going on this trip. It's gonna be nice. It's good. Yeah, I had a nice time on the trip, by the way. Their emotions or their insecurities they can get over on them, and yeah, things like that. So like that is very much needed. So 26, those who serve me, capitalized. That's the Bhagavad Gita. That's God. I mean, not I, God. It says, those who serve me with unalloyed devotion. Again, that's the part where it says devotional to when you are fixed on your higher self. Rise above the three modes, the material nature, and come to the level of the Brahman. It says, I am the basis of the formless Brahman, the immortal and imperishable of eternal Dharma. That means the gift. Kind of like the Dharma is consistent with light, kind of like the Holy Spirit's grace. So also grace mentioned. That's that's in other chapters. Sorry, and of unending divine bliss. So yeah, twin flames seem to be a bliss, and people like in their they're just like oblivious. Like they'll say, oh, they've got to be going through hard times, when in actuality they're doing just fine. I mean the twin flames are. So there's that. I covered it just in time, so I'm going to be uh, logging in. So I love the Bhagavad Gita scriptures, and so that's where that these connections are, what they represent, and yeah. So there's a lot that's going on in that space. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much like it all just comes together on its own. That's exactly what it does. So I will.